Hello again and welcome back to another video. This time around, we're painting this incredible Wolverine resin print, or as he's portrayed here, Old Man Logan. Hope you enjoy it.
All I recall was a stare that was vacant and cold.
This is one of my all-time favorite comic book characters, and between Hugh Jackman and Jim Lee, he's probably one of your favorites too. I chose to do this version of the Wolverine because he's portrayed like Old Man Logan, and simply because it's just a beautiful sculpture. As always, nothing in this video is sponsored in any way, and everything you might need to know about the paints, tools or other stuff can be found in the description. CA3D Studios have an impressive portfolio, but I gotta say, they just nailed it with this one. It's the kind of resin print that's hard to come by, and I'm really looking forward to painting this one. I'm not sure why, but I always like to start with airbrushing the flesh tones, and I'll try to break this all down to just a few easy to follow steps. Pick one flesh color, then also pick a darker and a lighter shade of the same color. This will make up your basic color palette. I'll start with the medium flesh tone, and for this first step, it's all just about giving everything a full coat of paint. Then I move on to a darker shade of the same color. Now, I'll pretend the light is coming from above, so I simply use my airbrush to let the shadows fall underneath, and maybe even a bit of shadows in the transitions. For instance, where the hair meets the skin. And lastly, I'll use a lighter shade for the highlights. And I'm still pretending the light is coming from above, so I just try to keep that in mind for when I'm placing the highlights. Keep in mind, this is only the first layer, and if it looks pretty flat and boring, you're on the right track. Now we can add some washes and give it some texture. A color wash is simply what it sounds like, just a watered down paint. But instead of mixing up new ones each time I paint something, I like to keep a few pre-mixed small paint bottles on hand. The next step now is to add some speckling. I have a favorite wash for this, and I've even labeled it. Usually, I would apply this with an airbrush at really low pressure, but for Logan, I thought using a stiff toothbrush would give a more uneven and rough expression. And if some of the spots go on too heavy, simply remove them right away with a wet paintbrush. Speckling, or freckling if you prefer, is simply about adding an organic element. If you look close enough, it's just like the small imperfections you can see in your own skin. Just some freckles and a bit of texture. Before we move on, you'll need to apply some varnish. Truthfully, any type or brand will do just fine. Because from now on, it's all about applying transparent washes. Apply the wash with a paintbrush, then simply dabbing it off again with a sponge, leaving behind a slightly colored tint. These washes aren't meant to cover the paint underneath. They're just semi-transparent layers that will slightly tint the skin in a warmer shade. And when you stack up enough of them, the color and texture underneath will still shine through. And that is what gives the skin the depth and realism. But if I could give you just one piece of advice, you should really stop at this point and move on to painting the rest of the figurine first. Then when you come back to it, look at the skin with fresh eyes. Because once everything else is in place, you'd really be surprised of how much the surrounding colors can change the skin tone. I've always tried to be mindful of this, but if you're a beginner, it's important to remember that the color temperature of your lights can greatly change how you see your colors. So with that in mind, let's move on to the face. It's all about gradually putting in all the details. The eyes, the eyebrows, and the hair. And when it comes to painting his signature haircut, I start off using a very dark gray. But my main focus here is on the transitions, especially along the line where it meets the skin. I even use some washes to keep the transitions soft and natural. Keeping up with the rest of the figurine, the jeans get a dark blue and grey base coat. And the shoes are kept just as simple, using just 2 shades of dark brown. Once all that is done, everything gets a light coat of varnish. This will seal the paint and prepare the surface for weathering. Now, a lot of people go straight in with a plain black paint for this step, but I always like to pull colors from the rest of the scene. In this case, it's a black with just a hint of brown and blue colors. That small adjustment softens the overall look and really helps the weathering blend in more naturally, adding depth and realism, giving everything a slightly worn, dusty feeling. On such a highly detailed resin print, dry brushing is one of those techniques that delivers instant satisfaction. The goal here is to create some worn down brown leather shoes. I'm using only a small amount of light brown and orange paint, slowly building up the effect. Just take your time and let the details do the work. If I could give you one small piece of advice for this, that'll make a big difference. Do not paint the soles of the shoes in a solid black, but instead use a dark wash. This lets the dry brushing layers shine through, and this will make the material look far more believable. Dry brushing is all about letting the paintbrush hit those slightly raised areas. If you do this, the textures will come naturally. And because the devil is in the details, and I do tend to listen whenever she whispers, a simple thing, like taking the time to paint in the seams for instance, is one of those things that can just elevate your work. So don't skip the boring stuff. I paint the half-ripped shirt in a deep, dark red. And once that contrast is introduced, notice how the skin tones immediately starts to feel more alive. This is usually a good moment to pause and take another look at the skin again with fresh eyes. Then decide if you want to add some more color washes, making it cooler, warmer, or darker. At this point, it really comes down to personal preference. Instead of a single color, I paint on a flannel shirt inspired by the movie. Dark blue simple squares and muted off white stripes, a classic Canadian Wolverine flannel. And if you're a subscriber, you'd know that I add these details because I still need to retrain my hand, and it is good practice. From this point on, it's really just about adding details and thinking about how the paint can tell the story, like adding a subtle red wash to the knuckles. After all, this is Logan. It's a simple trick, but it makes it more believable. Make a fist yourself, and you can easily see which knuckles need that red paint. I use a subtle green paint wash to help bring out the blood veins. Then going back over a few things, I add some more details to his hair. Some subtle dry brushing, layered between soft color washes, slowly building up the layers and adding more depth. As always, it's really important to test fit your pieces, making sure they all have the same shade of color. As I apply the final details and weathering, I would like to make a note of this. Knowing when to stop painting. It really is one of the hardest things to learn. But I do believe that when things start to feel forced, that's usually a sign it's time to wrap things up. And instead, step away from it for a few weeks. So when you come back to it, you can look at it with fresh eyes, and you can quickly see if anything needs to change. Adding his adamantium claws with just a few subtle details was the last thing I did on this figurine.
How could I know it would be goodbye, my love? When did the close of forever come, my love? All I recall was a stare that was vacant and cold. Where did the spark go, the warmth that once stole my soul?
There you have it, another painting tutorial with a few more tips and tricks along the way. I'll probably come back to this one at some point, because I feel I could push it a bit further, make it a bit more worn down and more weathering, but that'll be for another time. I really hope you enjoyed this video and give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell, and we'll definitely share our next project with you. Thank you for watching.